Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista and today we have a super busy day. I am going to be in the kitchen today just trying to kind of finalize a lot of my summer preserving. During the summer, I have just been kind of throwing tomatoes into the freezer because as you've seen in most of my videos, I just have not had time to deal with the tomatoes. So today is the day that I am going to get some of them dealt with. I went and looked in the freezer and I had way more bags in there than I actually thought I had. I now have a whole bunch in my roaster that is on 300. They are rock frozen, skins on. They've all been cored. So what I do is I just throw them in my roaster oven completely frozen. I let them thaw down. I'll come in and give them a stir because they're kind of smoking right now. But I thaw them down. Then once they are thawed down, I run them through my hand food mill to get all of the seeds and skins off. And then I put them back into the roaster oven. This particular batch I am going to make a enchilada sauce with today. I also have all of these tomatoes that have been ripening. A lot of them are the pineapple. With those tomatoes, I'm actually going to do a diced tomato. So this is my pantry. I will be doing a pantry tour pretty soon for you guys. Once I kind of get a lot of my canning kind of done for the season, I'll show you guys what I've all canned up. But this is what I have for diced tomatoes. This little section right here. These are a major staple in my pantry because I use them so much. During the winter months, I like to have diced tomatoes just as kind of like a sweet summer treat. So I know just by looking at my stock right now, I do not have enough in stock. So I want to get a couple more of those canned up today with the stuff that I have on the counter. And then with the other batch that I have, or bags that I have in the freezer, I am actually just gonna make up a plain tomato sauce with those, but I will do them later because that roaster oven has got the enchilada ones in it right now. The other thing that I want to get done today, as you can see, these are all of the loofahs on the floor that we harvested that day when we did that final garden harvest. Look at what's happening. They are already starting to rot because I have not had time to deal with them. I seen this video on YouTube of this girl. I believe she lived in Pennsylvania and she had to pull all of her green loofahs off because obviously they don't have a long enough growing season for her to dry them out. So she had found if she puts them in the oven, skin on, I think she had the oven turned to 400, I believe, or maybe it was 350. I'll have to double check my notes. But she put them in the oven. She cut them in half, put them in the oven, put a couple little slits on them for 40 to 45 minutes. Then she took them out, let them cool for a bit, then peeled them. And then this is what she got. This is what she was left with when she peeled them. So these, I have done 6 loofahs so far that way, and they are turning out great. So I've been kind of puttering, just putting them in the oven when I get a chance to, and then doing this, and I just leave them on here to dry, and then I come and I just kind of rotate them just so that they can dry completely. She said it took her about 3 weeks for them to completely dry. So like I said, I've just been kind of puttering along with that, but today I do want to get a lot of these done because they are rotting, and I hate having my stuff that I work hard to grow. I hate having it rot. So today we really have to get kind of working on those loofahs. So we've got a lot to do today. I am also going to get a chili started for supper tonight because we are starting to get some cold weather. We're having this like 3-day kind of cold spell where our nights are actually getting into the like high 20s, which is crazy. We're in October. So I want to make like a hearty meal for supper tonight. So I'm gonna make a chili. I've already made some sourdough bread, and then for dessert, I am going to make a pear apple crisp. So I'm gonna bring you guys along with me while we have this, we'll call it an adventure, an adventure in the kitchen today. So like I said, I already got those in the oven or in the roaster oven. Let's get started with getting these tomatoes peeled. Because we are canning them diced, I do have to have them peeled, and it is quite a procedure to get them peeled, and it takes quite a bit. So want to get that started. The tomatoes are ready to get skinned. So all I've done is I've just taken a knife and just put an X in it. And now I am going to take them and put them into boiling water. Probably leave them in here for maybe like 30 seconds until I see the skins peeling off. Then once the skins come off or start to peel off, I just bring them and I put them into cold water. To stop the cooking process. Now that they are all boiled up, I just take them and then the skins just peel off like this. And then I am just saving the skins for the chickens. I know I can take the skins and like dehydrate them and make a tomato powder with, but I'd rather just give them to my chickens. They'll enjoy them, but it just peels easy. And then I'm just putting them into a bag or into a big bowl like this, and then I'm gonna go and then dice them. I already have my jars in the canner right now, getting warm. Getting everything ready because the cans are already nice and warm. So because we are raw packing these, all I'm going to do is just dice them up, and I'm going to remove the cores. I like to have mine diced in like this size pieces. And then I'm just gonna put them into this bowl once they're diced. Diced tomatoes is super easy to can. It's just getting the peelings off that's the most time-consuming part. Now, also, because I am raw packing these, I'm gonna add boiling water, but I also need to add in some citric acid because I'm water bath canning these. So I am going to add, I'm only doing pint-sized jars. Those are the jars that we use the most often with diced tomatoes. So I am going to be adding a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid to each pint jar before I put the boiling water in. So the hot jars are out of the canner, and I'm just going to take a funnel, put it on the jar, and I'm just gonna take the diced tomatoes and just fill the jar. It says to leave 1/2 inch head space. So I am just filling them. Again, we're raw packing these. I kind of like squish them in a bit. Fit as many as I can, that should be good. I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid to each one of these jars now. You can also use lemon juice for this. I just thought I would switch it up and use some citric acid. So I'm gonna fill to 1/2 inch head space. And I am going to debubble. Water can get all the way down. When you debubble, you always have to keep readjusting the headspace. Let's get these tops all cleaned off. Just using a white vinegar to clean the tops off. Also checking to see if there's any cracks in the jars. Pint-sized jars, so these have to go in for 40 minutes. And again, I'm water bathing these. The oven is preheated now for the loofahs to go in. So all I'm doing is just cutting off the ends of the loofah, and you can see in here that they are not right. They're not ready. So you just cut the ends off, cut them in half. Just put like a little slit in them. And then just fill this cookie sheet. See, this is the one that's going bad. So I'm gonna cut that end off. Because it was only bad up to that point. The rest of it is perfectly fine. So I'm not wasting the whole loofah. Just put it into the compost. Cut it in half. Oh, okay, maybe I lied. Well, I can still use that little piece because it was bad. Kind of a little bit more than I thought. Still, that's going to be a fine size sponge. Let me just take them out of the oven. It says that they're done, so we'll just quickly check. Yep, they are done. There's a lot of steam. So that is what they look like. They are really hot right now, but the skin is very crunchy. This one actually might not be good because it's very wet, but we'll see. A lot of moisture comes out of them when you do this. So I am gonna let these rest probably for about 20 minutes, and then I am going to get another batch into the oven. So this one right here, I am going to have to compost because it is like mush. It will not, it was too not ready. So that's gonna have to go in the compost. I have actually found that ones that are really squishy tend to do this. And ones that are firm tend to set up, like they tend to be a little bit, like you see the moisture still coming out of that, so needs to dry. So I think what I'm gonna do is go through my loofahs, and then the ones that are really soft feeling, I'm just gonna put in the compost because I don't wanna waste my time and put them all in here just to have to do this and end up in the compost anyways. And get these peeled. It is so fun peeling these things. Okay, so you just take where the split was. I'm just doing this over the sink, and I'm gonna put all of the skins in the compost, but look at, it just peels right off. So perfect. And these are still kind of hot. But yeah, you just set them like that to dry. I put them on that beach towel, and they're just dry, and it takes about, they say about 4 weeks. So kind of hot. I gotta figure out a way to, like, these ones are really, really brown. I need to figure out a way to get them to be like a nice white color. I don't want to bleach them because that defeats the purpose of growing organic loofah sponges. But I also don't like them dirty color. Isn't this so cool though? I love it. I'm so happy I found the way to do this. I put another batch into the oven there. Now, this one is potentially not. Oh, maybe it will work. See how much liquid's just coming out of them? So the first couple batches that I did over there that are drying, I actually had to change the beach towel twice because it just got so saturated the very first night. I'll have to just keep an eye on the beach towel because these are really, really, really wet still. The oven doesn't like dry out the Loofah, the only thing the oven does is just dry the skins out. But yeah, all done. Like, still so much liquid coming off that. I don't want to squish them though and compromise the... That one's so wet. This was the one I was worried about not being fine, but we'll see. It's really mushy. Like, I don't know if you can see it. It's just like super, super mushy. It was almost not ready. I've got my timer going. My jars are now boiling, so those have 35 more minutes left. And then I just checked my tomatoes that we put in this morning, and look at how much water is in here because these were frozen. So much water. I am going to strain them still and get the skins and the seeds off, but that is so much water. It is going to take a very, very long time for these to boil down. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the enchilada sauce today, because I would say that that's probably going to take about 24 hours for those to boil down. Not only that, we had this thing like full like this with tomatoes, and look, since they're now boiling down, look at how many I have in here. So I might go and grab another bag from the freezer and add it in here, and I'm worried to strain this because I don't know how much of it is tomato juice and how much of it is water. So I don't know what to do with that. I've never had that much water before when I'm defrosting them, so I don't know what to do. I guess we'll just play it by ear and see what happens. But one thing I do want to do, because that those diced tomatoes are now boiling, I do want to get that chili started so that that can kind of cook throughout the day. So let's get to that going. We are going to brown 2 pounds of ground beef up. And I'm going to throw in some garlic with that ground beef also. Get some garlic added to this ground beef. You want about 2 cloves. Just gonna mix it all in. I am following a very rough outline of the Pioneer Woman's chili recipe. I'm using it as kind of a guideline. I do veer away from it though. I've made this is kind of my go-to chili recipe, and oh, those are our jars. So let's just get them off of the heat and the lid off, and they need to cool for 5 minutes before we can take them out. I'm just gonna go move them over onto a heating pad. I did not mean a heating pad, I meant a cooling pad. It is a very loose outline or guideline from the Pioneer Woman's recipe, and this is my go-to recipe. I have tweaked it quite a bit, but I just kind of use it so that I remember roughly what's in it. So I am adding some onion to it. This is just dehydrated onion, which I barely have any left of. I don't know if you guys can see, but hardly any left of. So I have onions that are actually starting to go bad. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe get some onions cut up, since we're having kind of nice days but cooler days. Put in the dehydrator and put it outside so that it can dehydrate outside and not stink my inside up like onions, because I need to get some more, and that is the best way to use them. Dry them up and make powder. Stephen doesn't like regular onions, like just, he doesn't like the texture of them. So I can dehydrate them and use them in my cooking and he'll eat them perfectly fine. So I need to get that going. I may try to squeeze that in today also. I was also thinking that because those tomatoes are so wet, I don't think I'm actually going to make enchilada sauce. I have 4 jars still on the pantry, which is fine. That'll last us quite some time. I think what I'm going to do is just can up some regular plain tomato sauce. And then if in the winter I run out of enchilada sauce, I can just use that plain tomato sauce as a base to make some more and can up some more enchilada sauce. It's just so much easier for me just to strain those, put them back into the roaster strained and let them slow cook all night so that they get that moisture off. And then I don't have that extra step of having to make the enchilada sauce. I just feel like right now, because we're coming out of canning season, I love it, but I am just I'm kind of tired. I kind of just want a little bit of a break. So I think I'm just going to just do a plain tomato sauce, just get that quickly canned up, and then again, winter I can make enchilada sauce if we run out or if we are getting like down to 1 jar or something. But I think that's what I've decided I'm going to do. I'm just waiting for this to brown up, and I've got more loofahs in the oven drying out. I'm going to try to get those, a lot of that. I'm going to try to get that pile at least halfway down today because I don't like stuff rotting. It's frustrating to me. I am excited to be making chili again though, and apple and pear crisp for dessert. I'm probably gonna do one more load or one more thing of loofahs, and then once those are done, then I will make the apple and pear crisp because it's already 1 o'clock, and I like to kind of have my stuff done by about 4:30. So we'll see how the time goes. Ground beef is all cooked, so I'm just going to add it to this saucepan. Get all those yummy bits off the bottom of the pan. So now we are going to add the tomato sauce. I am putting in 2 jars. These are pint-sized jars. I might need to add a little bit more. This recipe is very, very heavy on the tomato sauce. It calls for hardly any tomato sauce in the original recipe, which is really weird, but I've found that we like it pretty heavy. Pretty heavy on the tomato sauce. This is tomato sauce that I canned last year. So I'm happy to get that used up. Yeah, and that does not look like that's going to be saucy enough for us. I am going to go and grab another jar of tomato sauce. And this is just a plain tomato sauce, nothing in it, just tomatoes. Okay. It calls for black beans, kidney beans, or pinto beans. I am just using some black beans that I canned and some kidney beans that I canned. I just need to get them rinsed off first. Add those black beans and kidney beans into there. Stir it. So I need to add 2 tablespoons of chili powder. I usually go heaping tablespoons. I like it to taste like chili. Okay, and then we need 1 teaspoon of cumin. I think I'm gonna put in about a tablespoon because again, we really like the cumin taste. And then I need 1 teaspoon of oregano. So again, tablespoon. Get them all. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. This one I actually am going to probably only put a 1/4 or maybe 1/2 teaspoon. The only reason is because I don't like it too spicy, and we can always add a hot sauce if it's not spicy enough. So I'm probably only gonna put about a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in there. And then we need a teaspoon of salt. Lots of salt because my tomato sauce, actually I'm going to probably put 2 teaspoons. My tomato sauce has no salt in it, so I'm going to add more to this. And then we're just going to stir it up and put the lid on. You know what? We have some leftover bacon from me making those egg bites. So I am going to put some cooked bacon in this. Just crumble it up and put it in. I also normally put in pickled jalapenos. So I'm gonna cut up some pickled jalapenos and throw those in here as well. And then I'm just gonna turn this on low and then let this cook until supper tonight. Because all the elements in it are cooked, so essentially all we're doing is we're reheating it. we're cooking it so that all the flavors can blend together. I'm gonna save a little bit of bacon so that we can put some on the top of our chili also. Okay, let me get those jalapenos cut up. Get these cut up. I know I just said that I didn't really like it spicy, and you see all these jalapenos going in, but they're pickled jalapenos, and I find that they're not super spicy. I don't find jalapenos to be like overly spicy. I'm just gonna kind of chop them up like this and then just add them in. And then, so it is starting to boil now. So I'm just gonna let it come to a boil, and then I'm gonna turn it down to simmer, and then I'm gonna let it simmer until we eat it tonight. This chili is so perfect. It makes so many leftovers. So I have planned this week in a couple of days to make chili dogs with the leftover chili that we're gonna have from tonight. I may even take some of this leftover chili and just freeze it into like a pint-sized jar. And then that's a perfect thing I can just reheat up if I want like a quick meal. So that is all incorporated, and it is kind of boiling. We'll let it, yeah, it's boiling. So I'm just gonna turn it down to a simmer, put the lid on, and then just leave it here for the rest of the day until supper time. I'll come back and stir it occasionally too. Loofahs are out of the oven. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get started on my apple and pear crisp. This is, I don't know if you guys can see, but you can barely even read these recipes. This is a recipe from my mom. She used to make this for me and my sister when we were younger. And this is a recipe that before she gave me this, I had copied it onto this, and I used to make this for my kids. I don't really need these recipes at all. I know how to do this from memory and just from growing up with it and making it for my kids also. But there is something nostalgic about taking these recipes out and making this meal. I don't need to read them, but just seeing the wear marks on them, and just there's a lot of memories that go with these cards. So I like to get them out anyways, just I don't know. I guess it's to be nostalgic. But yeah, I absolutely love this recipe. I've already peeled the pears and the apples. So I am just going to core them out, and I am going to slice them. I have a little bit of lemon juice because they're already starting to go yellow. Or they're already starting to go brown from me peeling them. So I want to get them in this pan very quickly. I'm also going to lightly grease this pan with some butter. I need a 1/2 stick of butter for this recipe anyway, so just use Just greasing it like this. So I'm just going to slice them like this and put them into this tray. I understand I should not be cutting towards my body, but this is kind of how I've always cut, and I don't know how to cut any other way. These are apples that I had purchased from the Amish a long time ago. These are the Macintosh apples that I make the applesauce with, and I tell you, they keep forever in the fridge. And these are the pears that we went and picked from our friend's house. I had a couple of them that weren't ripe yet, and now they are ripe. So I'm gonna get them used up in this recipe. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of lemon juice on these because they are starting to that's all I had left. So you see how much apples I have in here? It's filled. So we are going to get started on the topping now. I just take a stick of butter. Just gonna chop it up a bit so it's easier to and then I'm just going to use my pastry cutter and just kind of cut it up a little bit more finer. I'm going to add in about a half a cup of brown sugar, maybe 3/4 cup, no, maybe half a cup. Half a cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to use about half a cup of flour, and then like maybe 1/4 cup of oats. Sorry about the banging. And then just sprinkle some cinnamon in. And then I'm going to use the pastry thing again and just mash it together. We're just making like a crumble top essentially. The butter to be into bit-sized pieces. I actually might need to make a little bit more of this topping. It's a pretty big pan I'm making it in. I like mine heavy on the toppings. I guess everybody's different how they like their apple crisp. I like the topping a lot. So I like to make sure that it is a pretty thick layer of topping on the top of it. This butter is really cold, so it's kind of hard to get mashed up. Now you could make it in, you could definitely cut the butter a little bit smaller than that, but that's kind of how I like it. And so now I am just going to put it on top of this and just cover it. I'm kind of thinking that I would like a little bit more of that crumble top on there. So that is good. That's kind of what I like. And then I am just going to take some cinnamon and just kind of sprinkle more on top. Voila! And then it goes into the oven for 30 minutes or until the apples are nice and soft and cooked and bubbly. Apple crisp is out of the oven. Now I know that it looks burnt on top, but it is not. That is just, let's turn some light on, see if that helps. That's just the cinnamon. So it is done. What I'm going to do is actually, when we go to eat dessert, I will end up just throwing this back in the oven just to do a quick heat up. Also, these are now cooked down enough that I can strain them. So I am going to scoop them into this food mill and then just, you turn it, all of the juice goes to the bottom and then the seeds and the skins stay up here. So seeds and skins are going to be going to the chickens. And then from there, I'm gonna take all of the liquid and I'm gonna put it back into here, and I'm gonna cook it down overnight. And then in the morning, I'll just can it up quickly because I just don't want to deal with making enchilada sauce. I am, I guess, being kind of lazy today. So tomato sauce it is. I'm going to actually do something different. I forgot. I normally actually use my immersion blender and immerse this up. Then I put it through this because otherwise it is too difficult. The skins really clog it up. So after I read it through the food mill, this is what I am left with. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't want to spill it. So I just add it to a bowl like this, and I just kind of go along, food mill it, and then this is the bowl for the chicken scraps. So I immersion blend this, so it's definitely a lot more easier now to sift through. I should add, the reason that I'm going through this step is because I don't like seeds or skins in my tomato sauce. I like a really smooth tomato sauce. So you could probably just can it up at this stage. You are technically not supposed to have skins, though. The skins do something with the canning process. I'm not exactly sure. I am taking them out because I do not like them in there. But yeah, you could definitely avoid this if you didn't mind having the seeds in there. Like when I do my diced tomatoes, you'll see that I have the seeds in there because I don't care about that, because the diced tomatoes I eat as a replacement of a tomato. But tomato sauce, I like to have like a smooth tomato sauce. So I take the extra time and do this step. It does take me about half an hour to get this done, but to me, it is definitely worth it. This is the sauce. It is very, very, very runny, but it is smooth. Now, I mean, I did not get every single seed out, so there is going to be a couple seeds left in there, but it is better than what it was. So I have this sitting at 250 right now. Let's get it to 250, and I'm gonna leave this overnight. I am hoping that this can reduce a little bit overnight because it is still very, very liquidy. Well, it is 4:30 now and I am done in the kitchen. I have that sauce now going and it will be going all night. Unfortunately, I did not get to the onions, so that's gonna have to get bumped to tomorrow's activity. That's fine. I don't really have a lot on the go tomorrow. I have to make some kombucha, do the onions, and then get that canned up. I need to get outside right now. We are expecting a low tonight. I think it's 28 or 29, which is considered a freeze. So I want to go outside. I have a couple of things that I just want to lay a sheet on in hopes that they'll be fine. They should be because it is just lettuce, but I just don't want to lose it because next week again we're back into the 70s. So just for the next 3 nights, we're supposed to be getting these crazy lows. So I want to get out there now while the sun is still up to try to get some of that hot air trapped in there for the night. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Bye guys, and I will see you on the next video.